It's all about the Fab Three. No, it's all about the centre half. No, it's all about the goalkeeper. Is it all about the midfield three, Stevie, for Liverpool?
I wouldn't say that, no. I don't think you're wrong in saying that all the other components matter just as much. But the truth of the matter is that the middle three are hugely important from an attacking sense to get the ball to the front three, and from a defensive point of view to stop the opposition, particularly teams like City, from getting at them through the middle. So it's a huge part, and it's a part of the game that under Klopp, since he came, has gotten better and better and stronger and stronger. And I think stronger and stronger is the most important word I'm using here, because I don't think you can argue that it's not the most technically gifted middle three in world football, but the job it does is as good as any three in world football.
How much do you have to give credit for in terms of how he's been able to get the pieces to complement each other? I mean, when we talked about what the season a couple of years ago when Salah was just banging in goals left, right and centre, and we talked about Firmino as well, and then we now, of course, talk about the productivity of Mane and how important he is in stretching teams. That midfield three was always looked upon as being, you know, well, it's the workhorse of the team, and maybe that's all it can do, and maybe you need to introduce or reintroduce a Coutinho back into it to give you that kind of dynamism. How much credit can you now give to Klopp for the fact that he hasn't gone that way, he's improved what he's got, and they are actually functioning in a way which maximises the team?
Well, I think you have to give him credit that he hasn't broken what's not, or he hasn't fixed what's not broken. You know, it's one thing to get to a level, and it's another thing to try and change it. But then you have to think, well, hold on a second, the way we play is trying to add a technical piece going to disrupt the strength that you've got and the legs that you've got? And I think he's done the right thing in keeping it the way it is. And I think what you're seeing is players who know that he's not looking to move them on, he's not looking to try and to make a change for a more technical player, and they understand that the job they're doing, absolutely, they know that he loves what they do. That means that you then have the freedom to just now and again do something else. The way that Henderson put that ball across, that's not his remit, that's not what we expect, but the fact that he's so confident and so calm in the position he's playing and understands what he's meant to do, he understands that that's an extra.
Yeah.
And so, again, in a big game, when you can get somebody like him to put that ball in for the third goal, and you get Fabinho backing things up, and the strike he made, they're all add-ons.
Yes.
They're not expected, because basically Klopp has given the front three carte blanche, go where they want, do what they want. And that means you need a middle of the park, and the three that he's been using have to be workhorses, as you said.
It's a great point, because it's a facet of the game that he often sort of employed at Dortmund with that midfield as well. At certain times players would come up with goals or come up with passes that you weren't necessarily expecting from the three sitting behind the further attacking players. Naby Keita is a big money signing that hasn't sort of come off yet in the way that perhaps he was hoping for, and you're always going to get hits and misses in transfers.
Right.
Are you surprised that he's struggled somewhat, or are you more impressed that the others have taken on board the opportunities in front of them to basically keep him out of the side?
Yeah, I think definitely he's been kept out. He's had some opportunities last year. I think, you know, we were talking earlier about can you add to what you've already got in the middle of the park? And Naby Keita, yes, works hard, but Naby Keita in the Bundesliga scored goals. And I think Klopp was maybe thinking, I can help the front three out by getting this guy, because I know he'll work hard, but I know he can score goals. But it didn't work. And Klopp has realised that the three he had does work. And so that means that, unfortunately, it's called fighting for a spot.
Yeah.
And right now, Keita's fighting for a spot, and he's not in the starting 11.
Is there any part of that midfield, do you think, that he would be looking, let's say they go on and have an extremely successful season, it's going to be very difficult, but is there any part of that midfield that he'd be looking to reshape?
I don't think so. No, Henderson's still got 2 or 3 seasons in him. Fabinho, no question. the fact that Chamberlain has come in, I think probably he's going to be the guy that will replace the minutes that Milner gets eventually. They have Keita, so they've got plenty of options in the middle. And as I said, the hard work that middle three has to do, you need options. I'm forgetting Wijnaldum as well, who's been superb and who's probably the most technical player out of all the players in the middle. So they got competition for places. They got guys who he knows will work their tail off, and he's got guys right now who not only will work the tail off, but every now and again will add something as well.
Yep. So a little bit of sparkle this past weekend coming from the midfield engine room, but it's that engine room that could well power Liverpool to finally grabbing that Premier League trophy.
Thanks so much for watching ESPN on YouTube, and for more sports highlights and analysis, be sure to download the ESPN app, and for premium content and live streaming, subscribe to ESPN Plus.